Today, I want to talk about the one thing that could be getting in your way of finding your course profits. It's finite, and if we're not conscious and careful about how we approach its use, it's easy to waste its power. So what am I talking about? Listen in to get the scoop. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
So I have to ask, do you feel like you are constantly racing to build your online course and coaching business? And you probably are. So what else can we do about it? How can we fix this? And today I want to talk about it. So what exactly is this one thing that I'm talking about? It's time. It takes time to build your business. And I've heard various numbers, but anywhere from 3 to 5 years, which flies in the face of a lot of the marketing messages that you will see out there. You know, I wrote my first course and I got it out there and I sold 10,000 copies and I made $1 bazillion, and all of those super inflated messages that I think distort what it really takes to make things happen. So in this episode, I want to share with you my 6 opinions, and yes, they are my opinions, so I'm on a little bit of a rant today. I hope that's okay. And then it's all about what takes your time as you're building, and some, hopefully, what I like to call big solutions that can help you and make things easier, maybe make things a little less complex, and I hope make you feel like this is more realistic, but also something you can manage and fix and improve. So big goals for this episode. I hope you enjoy it, and it gives you at least one thing that you can walk away with saying, okay, I can improve this. So hopefully more than one, but at least one thing. Also, we are hitting the week of 4 years of this podcast. I started in August of 2020, and I just want to thank you for being a listener. Thank you for following and subscribing. I would have quit a long time ago if I didn't have you out there listening and commenting and following and subscribing so that I knew somebody was actually hearing these messages. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing this in your Facebook groups, with your friends, with your folks that you are learning with. Thank you for sharing this podcast with them. Thank you to everyone who has listed it somewhere. There's several lists of podcasts for course creators. Thank you so much for putting this podcast on there. I really appreciate it, and I hope it's been helpful for you these past 4 years as we hit episode 206, which I'm still in shock for. Okay. So let's jump in. My first opinion for you. And when this one hit me, I was like, well, duh. And so if this one feels obvious to you, that's why. The first one is our lives and our time are already really, really full. We've filled our schedules, not only because there's so much more, I think, than there used to be to do, but now we have these phones in our hands that are always there to entertain us or provide an outlet, or, you know, there's so many things that we can be filling our lives with. And I can remember when I was young being bored all the time. There just never was enough to fill my day. And so I'm really happy now that we have so many more things, but the other piece of that is it does require us to be conscious of how we are using our time, because it's so easy to lose it. And I see this with myself very often, where I was like, oh, wow, you know, I just lost 2 hours and it was doing something I wanted, but was it the best place for me to be focusing? So let me sort of dig in on this one for you. I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, rank how your time is right now. So number one would be, I have tons of time to the point where I'm bored very often. And 10 is that you are so overwhelmed that you never feel like you get the right things done. And there's always so much looming and hanging over you that you're just overwhelmed. So where are you on that scale of 1 to 10? Are you where you have plenty of time? Then this episode might not be as helpful for you. But if you're anywhere close to that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 number, then we just need to acknowledge that, yeah, you're busy, you're full, and to actually build an online business, you have to be very conscious about not only where are you spending your time, but what are you going to cut out in order to make some time to spend it on your course business. So I hope that makes sense. Like, if you're full, then, what are we going to cut? What do you want to cut? Because this business is more important to you. And if there's nothing in your life that you can remove, maybe this isn't the right time. But I would say, I think a lot of us have things that we can remove, or little snatches of time that we can use better. So I will tell you, like, for example, when I have 5 or 10 minutes between meetings, between things that are happening, right now, I like to go on Threads and comment on people's posts. And it gets me new followers. It gets me connected to really cool people. I get to see what my community is talking about, what things are coming up for them. So 5 or 10 minutes, I can accomplish a lot. So we also need to really think about what are some things that we can do in smaller batches of time, because we tend to have these little moments of waiting in line or sitting at a doctor's office where we've got a little bit of time, but not enough to do a full-on project. Make sure you're using those little snatches of time well. Okay, that's opinion number 1. Opinion number 2 is that it takes time to get to know your customer's journey. So especially with my new course creators, this is something that comes up a lot for them when I try to say, you need to understand where your customers, your students, where are they at, and what kinds of things are happening to them that trigger them into making a change or looking for a solution. So that's not something necessarily that's obvious right off the bat. It can take some time to start noticing, like, oh, okay, this student jumped in because this thing happened to her, and this coaching client was ready to buy because this certain thing happened to her. And so start paying attention to that journey. And then here's my big solution for you. I want you to set aside a few hours to go look to see where your audience could be hanging out online, and go read about what they are saying. So go search Facebook groups, go search Reddit, go search any kind of forum where you hang out, where your audience is also hanging out about your topic. Go find what they are saying and some of the things that are coming up from them, and start building out that journey of your customers. Okay. Are we having fun yet? Opinion number 3 is, honestly, it takes time to build an audience. So I want you to be very patient with yourself, and don't get discouraged if it's taking a while for this to happen. The big solution here is to constantly be building, constantly be taking action toward getting in front of new people and finding them and trying out new things. And I'll be honest, this constantly be building is not just posting on social media. You need to be putting in some more activities where you're trying to get in front of your audience. And then always be looking for new ways to find them, to connect with them. And this is some of the things that I really love brainstorming with my students and my coaching clients, is like, okay, where are we going to find your people? Let's try this one thing and see if it works, and see if we get people to sign up. Okay. Opinion number 4. It takes time to create. I mean, if you think about it, there's so much for us to be creating. We have to build out our knowledge and turn them into these big ideas and frameworks that we're sharing. We have to figure out our revenue model and figure out what are we going to sell at what price point to get to what level. We have to build our courses, for heaven's sake. That's going to take a little time. You have to build your followings and your email list, and you have to build and craft and reword your messaging and test it and see okay, what resonates the most with my audience. So, because you have to take this time to do creation, one of the solutions that I want to offer for you is make sure you're creating in the right order so that you're creating the things that are going to have the biggest impact. And get some advice on this, because I've seen some creators who spend hours and hours and hours creating, let's say, an Instagram reel. And yes, it's cute, and yes, it's wonderful, but it only lasts for 24, 48 hours. And then what? So make sure you're creating the things that are going to have the biggest impact on you. And we had an episode where I talked about long-term and short-term content. So I will link to that in the show notes so you can go back and listen to that if you think this is something that could be helpful for you. So long-term and short-term content. You want to be doing some of both, and that episode will help you work through that. Okay. Opinion number 5. It takes a lot of time to market your online courses and your business. And this is one of those things that I've noticed it's starting to take longer. And what I mean by that is folks who maybe would have jumped in right away, maybe 3-4 years ago, are now pausing and thinking about it. And it's taking a little bit longer for us to get comfortable. And I'm trying to remember where I heard this week, but I thought it was such a good insight. And it was that people were feeling a bit jaded and feeling a bit like they haven't been told the complete picture. And honestly, sometimes not trusting the folks who are sending out all the marketing messages. And I think this is a good thing that we're being careful about the messaging that we're believing. But I also think it's one of those pieces of the puzzle that for the folks who are being honest and direct and telling you what's going on, it makes it tougher for their messages to get through. So for this time that it's taking to market and these things, I want you to be on the lookout for ways to make this simpler and easier on yourself. So I'll give you a couple of things that I do in case they're helpful, but just keep your eyes open. These are some things that I'm going to do. I'm going to find ways for me to make this a little bit easier. So one of the things that I do, I repurpose the heck out of my content. So you'll notice I reshare my podcast episode over and over and over again. I try to make the main content reusable and so that it's always helpful for folks. And so I use a tool called Social Bee. And there's several that'll do this, but basically what you do is you set up a bucket of social media posts. So I have a bucket of podcast episodes, and it goes through, and each week it posts about one of the old podcast episodes, goes through the list, and then when it gets to the bottom, it goes back and it starts over and it shares them again. So the next week we start with episode number 1 and then number 2. So it just keeps going through and constantly posting. So I'm able to get a lot of mileage out of those posts and those episodes. The other thing I do, and this one is a huge time saver for me, is I reuse my emails. So let's say 2 years ago, I posted an email about how to save time, and I shared that with the audience, and I had 5 tips for getting things done more quickly. So it's been 2 years. I can share it again. Most folks don't even recognize that it's being shared again, or they're hearing it in a different way because they're at a different place in their business. So I think as long as you've gone about 6 months or so, I totally think you can reuse and reshare emails. So use that to make your life easier. Every week you don't necessarily have to be creating brand new emails. You can reuse some of those. And then really take the effort to learn some of the basic ChatGPT AI prompts that can help you with your biggest time eater. So, if you spend a lot of time trying to come up with ideas, then go use ChatGPT to inspire you. If you spend a lot of time reworking your emails and rewriting them, see if there's a tool that can help you with that. So look for some ways. If you're paying attention to where you're spending your time, then you can definitely find some tools to help speed it up for you. And then our last one, opinion number 6. Honestly, it takes time to learn all of this stuff. So as you are trying to figure out, how do I manage this? How do I make this happen? Because I need this to work soon. I want you to get some help, and don't be swayed by the first coach who comes along that's offering you this big expensive program with lots and lots of promises about everything that they're offering you. Really dig in and see, how are they mastering these 6 key time users? So, how are they mastering marketing and creation and the marketing, and do I feel like they understand my customer journey, and how are they doing that? You can dig in to what they share in their email, what they share in their social media posts, and you can learn a lot. So before you jump on a big expensive coaching program, figure out not only what they are doing, but also, do they have specific smaller ideas for you that you can maybe tackle one of these pieces at a time. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope this makes you pause and go, where am I spending my time? And is it the best use of my time? And is it the most efficient way for me to be connecting and marketing and learning and creating? Even just spending a week looking at your time map, which I will also put a link in the show notes. I have a free time map spreadsheet that I give out every week. So I'll put the link to that so that you can use it. Just noticing, where am I actually spending my time can be super, super enlightening. So I hope this was a fun episode. Thank you for listening to my ranting and my opinions. I really want course creators to reach the next level, to get their businesses where they want them to go. And I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks again for being a listener and a follower and a subscriber. I so appreciate you. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care.